Well, happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome to the 2023 Legendary Sales and Marketing panel discussion. We have an amazing treat for you guys today. Okay, these are guys and industry leaders that I look up to, that I can call friends, that are just completely changing the game in their own unique ways. And these guys really need no introduction at all. But a quick one before we get going. Jeff Gear of TSR Concrete Coatings is here today. Largest residential concrete coating company, probably not just in the country, but in the market or in the world, I imagine. Right, Jeff?
We've yet to find a bigger one.
Yeah.
So maybe there's one out there.
Appreciate you being here. We have Tanner Mullen of Premium Painting and Drip Jobs. Tanner, welcome to the webinar.
Good morning.
Love Tanner. He's absolutely changing the game for small contractors getting into the market, learning sales and marketing. He offers free coaching and much, much more. Jason Phillips runs an amazing company in Texas, Phillips Home Improvement. Jason, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Ryan.
Yeah. And Tommy Mello, appreciate you being here, brother. Runs a decent sized garage door company and does a lot more stuff. Welcome to the webinar.
Thanks, Ryan.
Okay, so today we're going to talk everything sales and marketing. Okay, we're going to talk about how to plan and how to achieve your goals this year through sales and marketing. We all started home service companies. I'm a marketer and I have a home service company. That's not my focus. I love digital marketing and marketing home service companies. But we all started these companies as entrepreneurs to have more profit, more impact, and more freedom. I was talking to Nick Slavic last week, and we were talking and breaking down that concept because I believe, and I've seen Tommy, $50,000 in debt to what you're doing now. You needed profit to have any sort of impact in the industry, right? Any sort of impact in your employees' lives, because without money, without profit, without growing the business, you can't really have much impact in this economic world. So you have to have the more profit in place first, which gives you more impact, opportunity, and ability. And then once you have that impact and you have that team, you have that company developed where you're having good top line, good profit, there's a good team in place, then you can have freedom as the business owner to go do more things. So more profit, more impact, more freedom. That's what we talk about here at Service Legend. And I know all of these guys share the same concepts and passions for the industry. If we could open up and we'll go Jeff, Tommy, Tanner, and Jason, just share with us a quick intro about yourself, your company, the size of the company, and kind of what you guys do.
Yeah, so I'm Jeff Gear. I'm with Revamp Companies, which is headlined by our primary brand TSR, but we're actually 8 different brands across the country. So we've done a lot of acquisitions. I know Tommy's real big in acquisitions as well, but we've done eight of these acquisitions over the last few years, and we've grown our business to 400 employees, and we finished 22 with $65 million in just like straight concrete coating business. And 23, we're looking at adding a couple of different verticals in the concrete lifting space as well.
Love it. And you guys started back, I believe, was it 2017, 2018?
We actually started in 2017. So my background's actually in roofing, windows, siding, and baths. And I saw an opportunity in the concrete coating field, and it made a lot of sense. I'll be honest with you, I didn't have extremely high hopes for it to begin with, but after running a few Facebook ads, I was like, holy cow, this is going to be a little bit bigger than I ever anticipated. And so in 2019, actually, I actually wasn't even full time with coatings up until 2019, and then in 2019, I just ran full steam with it, and here we are today. It's been a pretty wild ride.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys have seen anything I've done in concrete coating, just because of Jeff. I mean, Jeff has led the way, not only from a business perspective, but also just knowing the market, knowing what to do, and really love that about you. What's interesting too, Jeff, is you've done that with only the chip system. Like, I think a lot of companies try to do the chip system, overlays and metallics and every single product line, and you do it with just literally one system, the chip system, right?
Yeah, we just only do flake. What we realized right out of the gate is, what's scalable, right? And I'm sure these other guys are going to talk about, what's scalable in their businesses. I'm sure Tommy and Jason definitely have some, things that they just try to primarily focus on, because the rest of it's just wasting your time. And what we found right out of the gate was these metallic systems. Actually, we were talking about it in the private chat earlier. Is like, they're hard to replicate. They're hard. You can't take guys that are doing flake all day and then expect them to go run a metallic job. It just doesn't work that way. So also the marketing side of things, like it's you can generate more business from the flakes as well than you can from the metallic side. And I'm sure there's going to be some people that say otherwise, but I don't see any $65 million metallic epoxy companies out there.
Yeah. Tommy, just give a quick intro, who you are, what you guys do, and what you guys are up to over there.
Yeah, Tommy Mello, been in the garage door business, started in 2007, made every mistake possible to mankind in business. Started reading a lot of books, really focused on the people. Finished out around 190 million, 20 states, 30 markets. We've got 67 NDAs out there. Last month, we had a private equity company come in, and they basically own half the company. I kept half. And the reason I did that is just we've got way too many companies that want to partner with us. And the bank had a delayed draw term loan right around $25 million, which I'll burn through on 2 of these companies. So I'm willing to go in debt $1 billion to build a $10 billion company. And it's out there, and I think we could create 1,000 millionaires in the process. Already created 25 in the last month. So that's the goal, is just become the largest, most trusted garage door company in North America, soon Australia. So just having fun, man. I don't do it for the money anymore. I do it for the legacy, and just because I enjoy building, I enjoy problem solving, I enjoy business more than I enjoy golf, believe it or not. I love business. So that's as quick as I could go, Ryan.
Yeah, well, I saw a golf video of you golfing, and you had like a remote controller. So I'm not sure if I want to go golfing with you because of those little. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I love that, man. Tanner Mullen, just give us a quick intro of you, what you're doing, and kind of what you're up to, man.
Good morning. Proud owner of Premium Painting. We have 13 employees. We've just crossed over, I think, 1.2 million. I'm a student of the game. I'm very grateful to be kind of what I like to consider a hybrid. I'm very passionate about software. My passion project is Drip Jobs. Right now, within 1 year, we've garnished 500 active companies using it. We're projecting 1,250 by the end of this year. My goal is to power these powerful companies, be the leader in innovation, automation, maybe even get into a little AI on how we can streamline the customer journey. But being a business owner in this space allows me to see things from a unique perspective and build in that direction. But I also love the painting business. I have no problem visiting jobs, even doing estimates. Just, again, kind of the shadow what Tommy said, just in love with the process of business and kind of bringing those two worlds together.
Yeah, love that, man. I love that about you because, I think in entrepreneurship, we get so focused on the destination, but it's the journey. And you're a perfect example of that. I think all of you guys are. I think the most successful people don't enjoy the destination as much as they enjoy the journey to get there. And it's a constant journey. And so I love that about you. Jason, give us a quick intro about you, your background, your microphone setup. No, I'm just kidding.
Thanks. Hey, Jason Phillips out of Dallas, Texas. My company's Phillips Home Improvements. We do painting, roofing, and gutters. And I started my company back in 1997, knocking on doors. Quickly got really, really busy and ended up what I call in contractor prison. I was making decent money, but I had no time, and I was a slave to my business. And through a series of events and a lot of challenges and mistakes, like Tommy mentioned, I was able to break out of that. And I'm passionate about leadership, about people, about process. And today we're going to hit $10 million in 2023.
Absolutely amazing, man. Amazing. Okay, guys, if you are listening live here, there's about 82 live. It looks like, at least from my view here. If you could post in the comments #live, let us know that you're live. Also, if you would like to, you can let us know where you're tuning in from, the city and the state. Also, for those of you that are going to be on the replay, if you could post in the comments #replay, we'd love to know who's watching live and who's watching later on. Also, make sure you guys post in the comments any questions you have. If you guys have any questions that you want to ask Jeff, Tommy, Tanner, or Jason, make sure you post those in the comments as well. We have somebody moderating the chat, and they're going to grab those and they're going to send it to my computer here in my Slack. So let's get started, guys, with some questions. Jeff, let's start with you, man, and then we'll go around again, Tommy, Tanner, and Jason. First question is, I think this is a huge one for the market, which is, what are the current trends and challenges in the sales and marketing side of things in your business? Because I think obviously it's January, it's winter. Tony Robbins talks about winter right now, but also Mark Cuban always talks about industries and situations that we can disrupt. So as we kind of look towards this, recession or this, economic issue situation potentially in Q2 and Q3, what are the current trends and challenges going into this new year here for you?
Well, I think the big thing that, especially, the other guys on this would say is that we kind of ignore that to begin with. When the market's doing fantastic, we do great, right? And when the market's doing terrible, we do good. So it's we have this saying, around our office. It's called, renovate in place, right? And so, and at a time where we are, they've been saying we're in a recession, for 18 months now. It feels like this might be one of the longest recessions I've ever been a part of that hasn't actually happened. Because when I came into this industry in 2009, things weren't looking so good. But what I found whenever I came into the industry in 2009 is that you can still sell, right? Like people are renovating their home, especially, if you're in a need base, like, Jason is, they're still going to replace their roof. They do their siding. They're going to paint their house. These things aren't going to stop, right? In fact, they're actually more liable to do so because now with interest rates rising, they can't move, right? So they're going to renovate their home. But for me, in 2017, it used to be really easy to generate the lead because for $350, I just hit, boost post, right? I'd post a before and after picture, boost post, and I'd get, more than I could ever want as far as leads go. And what's happened is all these guys have gone to go work for Service Legend with Ryan Davis. And now every time I open my Facebook page, there's a new marketer of concrete coatings, and it's, these guys aren't real companies, right? They're just marketers that are generating leads, and not based on a company's page. So as I look around, I'm like, man, literally, if I was to open it, I'd get hit with an ad for, hey, do you want 50 concrete coating leads? It's like, it will, and what that does, ultimately what that does is that, and these guys come and go, right? Some of them stay in business, some of them don't, but it actually drives the lead cost up, for everybody across the board. So it is what it is. We battle that by utilizing, different, we spend money on, since 2018, I've had our own videographer team in-house, our own camera crews, which I'm sure some of these guys do as well. But these are the big challenges, that we're facing from a marketing standpoint, and from a sales standpoint, honestly, the type of growth that we're experiencing, I really can't complain. I wouldn't say that. It's really just teaching your new guys to ask for the order, right? And finding the right people inside of their, Tommy mentioned earlier, he's hunting for people, right? He's constantly hunting for people. And I think that's huge.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. That's what I see about all of you guys. Is you guys talk about people and about training and developing people, like bringing good people in, and with the training, you're making them great. Tommy, if you could speak to that a little bit as well. Current trends, challenges in the garage door industry. Obviously, you speak for home service. I mean, I was talking to Marco last night, and we were talking about you a little bit about, well, he's the garage door, king, and all this stuff. And Marco was like, dude, like he kind of runs home service as well. Like you have this bigger vision, mind that you can actually help other industries. Just like in terms of trends and challenges, what do you think, Tommy, that are going on right now?
I just wrote down a whole page, so I'll go quickly. Number one is I hear a lot of marketers, they always talk about paid because I could pay to play at anything, but it gets more competitive. Sometimes it gets easier. The one thing you can never take away from me is my relationships and my referral partners. As long as I keep my word and I smile and I answer my phone and I communicate well, no one will ever take my relationships. Nobody. So double down on your relationships, especially in this economy. Number two is the biggest, toughest thing about any business is capacity planning. There's nobody I've ever met in their life that said either I need more technicians or I need more jobs. You always need one. It's never, I could always use another guy or I could always use a few more leads. So that's always going to be a challenge And that's what separates us from every other industry. E-commerce, I just say, I need more vendors. I need more, I need to talk to China or India or wherever you're getting your supplies from. M&A, the toughest thing about me with buying companies is integrations. I have about 100 pages of integration things that need to happen. And it's hard to change a culture, keep everybody happy, and change the HR side of things, which is their benefit package and how they're paid. A couple other quick things. Right now, what I would be doing is when the economy gets tougher and Q2, Q3 is going to be a real recession, which I'm looking forward to, because at that point, you top grade and you double down on marketing and you take market share. You don't take market share in a buyer's market, or you don't take market share in a seller's market. You take market share in a buyer's market, which is happening right now. Win visited a guy, and I'll go 2 more quick things. Went and visited the largest franchisee in the country of the largest franchise garage door company. He gave me his price book, and I realized I'm still very cheap. So modifying your price book, testing out with 2 of your technicians, making sure, have your top 2 guys see if you could get higher prices. Because if they could prove that they could, then the rest of the people have to be believers. The money's just there. The other thing is read this book. I talked about it yesterday, Ryan, 100 Million Offers. Make an offer so freaking great that it's hard to say no. Because I feel like if you're just offering apples to apples, everybody competes on price. Sell something nobody else could. Sell them peace of mind. Give them something else in the process. Do something greater. Sell them a better value. And last thing I'd say as far as sales is develop a rehash team. You should have a team calling every single job that doesn't close, trying to get that job back. Doing whatever you got to do to earn that job. I've got a buddy of mine that discounts up to 45% in California. So I think that's ridiculous. That's much too big of a discount. But why not add value? Why not say we'll do a full chip? We'll also do I don't know. There's some feedback coming through here, but why not figure out a way to earn those jobs? Tanner, you're up.
Yeah, I love that rehash side too, though. That's a big one. And Jeff, I know does that crazy. I feel like any successful home service company has an amazing rehash department. I was talking to Victor Rancor. I'm going to get him on the podcast. I was talking to him yesterday. Dude, he does rehash like crazy too. I mean, everyone does. Tanner, if you could speak to us a little bit on what you're seeing on the painting side. Jason, I'm sure you'll share some painting secrets as well. But in terms of trends and challenges right now as we go into the new year, Tanner.
I think it's important that, we keep tabs on the health of our customers with all this new marketing that's happening in just the last 5 years. They're getting exposed to so many different ways to interact with a customer. I did a presentation outlined in 1990. There were literally 3 ways to get a bid for something. It was Yellow Pages, it was the neighbor, and it was the classifieds. And then I did another flip on that. There's over 50 options now with all these lead generation services and all these marketing. They can't relax without getting pitched some sort of home service, company wanting them to submit their information. So what I think that's doing is it's causing a lot of confusion for them, and it's lowering the trust, right? So I feel like, that's one of our challenges, is that the relationship isn't as strong as it was 10 years ago with word of mouth. I think word of mouth is declining unless you really make it a focus. I talk to those guys on a micro level that really are just trying to get these processes in place. And I don't think there's as much credibility happening because there's so many options. So if you have, 5 companies that you're interviewing, how do you stand out? And I think, of course, I'm going to lean a little bit on the software side because, of course, that's what I do. But I think that there's ways that you could be utilizing tools to communicate your story, which is the only thing specific to you. Communicate your company vision and your company values and, the things that you can do. And these are the intangibles that we all possess that no other company is going to have, and all of us here are heavy on culture. I think, in your sales process, as much as we want to talk about the job itself, we should be just hitting culture hard, hitting how we treat our employees, hitting how we vet our employees, hitting how we're different. And, again, that separation factor. So I think it's important to just understand that customers are inundated with information. They're confused. They have so many options now. And it's like, if there's so much noise, what do they do automatically? They look at the number at the bottom of your proposal and they say, you know what, this is the easiest way for me to make a decision, is just by comparing numbers here. This is tangible. But if I give you enough intangibles, if I evoke emotion out of you, if I'm in a sales interaction and I find out exactly what's important to you and how I can solve your problem, right? Like, what is your problem? We got to identify that every single time. Everyone's got a problem. You need to solve it. Then at some point or another, when you're comparing, you're at least going to have, I'm at least going to get a couple more points than just the other guy. So there's a lot of confusion, a lot of noise. You really got to focus on separating yourself and making it easy for them to make a decision.
Yeah, I love that. I was talking to Jason Paris on a podcast maybe last month. I'm not sure what was it, last month or November. But he was talking about there's never been a better time to differentiate yourself from the market by just being professional and providing an amazing experience and providing value to the consumer. Because it's so easy, because there's so many people that are not professional. They don't care about value. They sell on product, they sell on chemical versus the experience and all these things. So there's never been a better time to differentiate yourself from the marketplace and all your competitors. If you can actually just be professional, provide an amazing experience, value to your consumer. Jason, if you could speak to that as well. Obviously, you're in Texas. We have Jeff is in Illinois. Tommy's here in Phoenix with me. Tanner's in Florida. Jason's in Texas. We have a good mix of kind of the U.S. economy, if you will. Jason, if you could speak to that a little bit in your market, what you're seeing, just trends and challenges for your business there in the market.
Well, like always, in my industry in Texas, there's no licensing. And anybody, and probably maybe the same with you guys, anybody with a magnet and $500 to get an LLC, boom, they're in business. And I have not met a homeowner yet that doesn't have a home improvement nightmare story. So what we sell is we sell peace of mind. That's what we're selling, and we build trust. And in today's virtual world, there's some people that are wanting virtual appointments and such, but we thrive when we're face to face. And another thing, most painters don't have a pricing book. Okay, most painters they go out and they say, oh great, I'm going to email you the quote later, and
right.
and they're losing, because you've got people there that are ready to buy. At that point they like you, they trust you, and they just want a price. And if you're not giving them a price, right? So we have a rules. We always present price face to face, and but a lot of clients, they're like, hey, just email it to me. And we actually have a script that our guys run. It's not a good idea to email quotes to create the clarity. There can be a discrepancy between the price of what you're quoting, what they think they're getting. And so there's, it's the whole reason we ask for to meet with two parties and all of that. But, when it comes to the leads, fresh leads are great. Okay. But there's certain times of the year when fresh leads are super expensive. The hardest time to get leads in Dallas is January, February. But when I look back and I look at, if I put our leads into three categories, fresh leads, all fresh leads, rehash leads, and then previous customers, our highest ROI is reaching out to our previous customers. Like Tommy said, that relationship, they've used us in the past. We call them 6 months later. That is our highest retention rate on appointments that we set, that we actually get to demo. It's also our highest conversion rate on the appointment, and it's our highest NSLI as well, followed by the rehash. And I am surprised at the amount of business owners that I meet all the time that don't reach out to their old customers. They don't have a rehash program. They're addicted to a steady diet of let's swipe the credit card and bring in some PPC leads.
Yeah, it's so true. Jason, just real quick, do you find that so when you're calling those customers in 6 months, is it calling them to upsell, to get referrals? What is the strategy when you call those folks?
So because we do interior painting, exterior painting, We do roof replacement, roof repair, and gutters. We we will have a specific product we'll offer them, and on our call queue when they're on the screen, we see what they've purchased from us in the past, and we offer them something else.
Love that. That's amazing. Alex Hormozi, to Tommy's point, I have that book at my at the Cardinal office, but Alex Hormozi talks about it's so much easier to acquire more business from current customers or previous customers versus getting new ones. So if you can develop more product lines, more services, et cetera, to your current customers, you already have that proven authority relationship with them. You're going to have, obviously a lower acquisition cost, easier to, there's going to be less friction in the sales process there. So I love that. Jeff, let's start back with you here. I want to talk about the common mistakes that most companies are making in their sales and marketing efforts. And not just what you see, but how can they avoid those mistakes?
Well, I'll tell you, and Tommy can probably help speak to this too, since he's done a lot of acquisitions. But whenever we come into to a business, it's always kind of ironic to see like how they handle a lead from the time that they call you or the time they submit an inquiry all the way through sale, right? And how that works.
Mhm.
And so one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen is that they're marketing when their staff isn't available. There's a lot of companies that like don't work the weekends, that don't work past 5 o'clock, that are running TV ads, and that are have these ads out here, and they're not manning those social media pages after 4 or 5 o'clock, or they're running a 6 p.m. news spot and the phone's ringing off the hook, but then nobody's in the office to take like why are you wasting your freaking money on generating leads at a time when you're not gonna staff the phones, or your staff refuses to do it? So a lot of times when we come in, the very first thing that we do is we follow the lead, right? And we follow the time that the staff is working during these times, and we're actually pretty amazed at what we find, which is why we actually centralize our call center. So
You have a big one, right?
Yeah, we have a pretty decent sized call center, actually back here at our home base, and that's kind of one of the first things that we do is we analyze the flow of the lead and where they're coming from and what times of the day they're coming in, and then we go, oh well, we actually just we just missed out on 37 calls because we ran a 6 p.m. news spot and nobody was there to answer the phone. Or we had one company, and I couldn't believe this happened, but they actually ran all of their stuff to a vanity phone number, and then the vanity phone number was set to go to voicemail, and nobody ever answered the phone live. I'm like pulling my hair out, like what is going on? And so you have to make sure that your team is available whenever you're running leads. Otherwise, why are you spending the money? And I know to the guys on this phone or on this event, it seems like that's like Jason's like, yeah, like this is like common sense, right? But sometimes common sense isn't very common, and oftentimes that's what I run into a lot.
Would you recommend that if they're smaller, to use something like Jill's Office, or I think there's something called Pink Collars or something along those lines? If they can't, like if they want to spend the money, if they want to grow, like is there a season in the business where they have some sort of like virtual service, or should they just figure out how to hire that person? What would you say on that?
I think that person always has to be in house, right? Like I don't want to go and spend, it doesn't matter if it's 5,000 or 500,000 a month on leads, and then entrust those leads to somebody who doesn't have a stake in the company, right? Like that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like we have some places around here that answer calls for like the local plumbing company, whatever. I think it's called like Nationwide Inbound, but I would never use them because I if you've ever like a lot of companies were trying to use them to set bath leads. Well, if you've ever tried to set a bath lead, it's like the walk-in safety tub lead is literally the hardest lead to set in the planet, right? Because if people's like 70 years old, they hate they have to buy it, But even for concrete coatings, it's like let's answer the phone for our own customers, because eventually you're going to have to invest in that person so that if you plan on growing, to $1 million or 2 million or whatever it is annually, you're going to need the person anyways. So it's almost like you can't afford not to have them. And actually, I was watching, I don't know, it was like something with Tommy and about his mom and the way his mom answered the phone. Tommy keeps popping up on my news feed like every single day.
Yeah, he's looking for like content manager, videographer, all this.
Yeah.
He's looking
But-
for
but-
anything.
But and I'll let Tommy talk about it. But it was really like the way his mom answered the phone, and Tommy couldn't not sell the deal when he got there because his mom, was so awesome on the phone. And I think that a lot of these companies, they need to have that in house.
Yeah, I agree. Tommy, what do you think? You can speak to that as well, but also in addition to that, just any mistakes that you see companies, consistently making when it comes to sales and marketing efforts. Oh, here, you're muted, brother. Let me get you.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I had a gal come visit me yesterday, Amanda from what is it called, Grasshopper, and she's out of New York. And she said, "Tommy, if there's one thing I need to leave with today, what is it?" And I said, "It's pretty simple. You think you know your numbers, but you don't." In every small business I meet, the common theme seems to be, "Yeah, I think we're around $700 an average ticket." You think? I think we're booking around 83%. Okay, what's your abandonment rate? 18%. You're not at 83% if your abandonment rate's at 18%. I got up to 12% abandonment rate. And here's the problem. I'm at 1.3%. I put everything into my Grow. It's a business intelligence tool. Unfortunately, okay, yesterday we were at 3.73%. That means that 3.73% of the calls didn't get answered. So what I tell Jeff, and I agree with Jeff, you've got to keep your call center in-house. But if you don't have a redundancy call center that on the second ring, your VoIP system overlaps to a secondary, no one's answering those calls, and you're not getting them back. So I say this. I don't know necessarily if nationwide inbound is the best, but what I would say is if you don't have redundancy factors in your business, somebody that's going to answer the phone on Christmas or that early Sunday morning, I'm in every single time zone. So I think redundancies, I find that people that track numbers and are paying attention to their KPIs are not really, they don't know them down to the T. So when you walk into work Monday morning, or, I work a lot more, I work on weekends as well, they're wondering, what's the most important thing I should do today? I was talking to the main guy at Cortec, and he said, "Tommy, what's your goal?" And I said, I want to get to $250 million of EBITDA in the next 3.5 years. He said, "So what are you going to focus on today? How important is this hour, this minute, this week, this quarter, this year?" He goes, "What do you need to do? What is the number one thing you need to be focusing on? And if I don't know my KPIs down to the decimal point, then I don't know what I should be working on." So what I would say is know your numbers like the back of your hand, and believe it or not, they can change in a moment's notice. And you need to be able to pivot and understand what you need to be focused on. And acquisitions are great, but if you don't have your backyard in order, if you're not really doing 100% of what you need to be doing in your own backyard, Ryan, I see all these people out there that say, "I'm going to go buy businesses. I want to do what Tommy does." You do not want to do what I do. Not unless you have everything perfect, and we are struggling every day to make everything go good. It's a nightmare. You go buy yourself a nightmare after nightmare after nightmare to where you start getting a divorce. You find yourself not talking to your family. You find yourself not friends with your best friends. You have no time. And all of a sudden life could get so miserable unless you have control over your business and your numbers.
And an amazing team, because obviously you're not doing it by yourself. I imagine you have maybe one or two people helping you out over there on the acquisition side.
We've
So
got
it
a
takes
whole
an army.
team designated for this. Literally, we've got 3 integration teams. We've got 20 traveling technicians. We've got a traveling market manager. We've got lead technicians that travel into a market. Here's one piece of advice I'd give you. The day that you close a job, if you acquire a company, send that owner on a 3-week vacation, because they just went through hell for the last 6 months. They had to go through a quality of earnings inventory. They had to put all their employees through hell. Send them on a 3-week vacation and then clean up everything while they're gone. Start that integration hardcore, because it's something I just learned. And, I don't mind sharing the things I'm learning as I'm going. Unlike most companies and most people in my shoes, I'm here to just share the gospel, and anything I learned and any nightmare I went through, I just want to tell people so they don't have to go through the same stuff. But, it's just a word to the wise. Get that owner out of there. They just went through the toughest decision they'll ever make in their life, and they deserve a 3-week vacation. Not 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Love that. Tanner, what about you, man? I know you are so connected to what's working, what's not working. And, If you guys don't know, Tanner offers free coaching. Like if you need some help and you're a small painting contractor or even maybe other niches, jump on the phone call with him for free. Like he just loves to serve. You're so connected with those challenges of the small entrepreneurs that are doing home service. If you could speak to us a little bit about that, Tanner, challenges and how to avoid them.
You know, funny enough, man, I worked at Toyota in 2014, and usually on Tuesdays it was dry. I was a floor salesman. I'd go out on what they call point and wait for people to pull up, and that was a lead. And ultimately,
I sold cars too, bro. I sold cars too. I sold cars too. Yeah.
I don't trust either one of you guys anymore.
But I'll tell you what, man, selling cars, it can really help you in a lot of ways. And I've transitioned a lot of that to my home service business, but you got to understand that nurturing leads is a skill set that you must refine. And I think for me, I would lock myself in a room in Toyota and I would sit there with a stack of customers that came through the service department and try to convince these people to come in and upgrade their vehicle. And through maybe 500 phone calls, I maybe got one or two customers. But, what I've learned is that, as I continued my journey in sales, a lot of these skill sets come into play. But there was a discipline that I developed, when there's not an opportunity, create one. And what I learned through that discipline and, in the slow times, which usually this ended December and January, as I've grown each year, it's getting harder and harder to kick off the year, in a want-based business, which painting is a want-based in most cases. And so is, garage floor coatings, which I'm sure Jeff would agree. These are want-based commodities that some people put on the back burner. It's one of those, I'll get to it soon. And, I feel like with lead nurturing, you got to capitalize on the interest. And I found that the quicker that I call, the quicker that we capitalize, that's what these gentlemen are talking about. With the, answering the phone is being able to capitalize on that little tiny bit of interest that gave them the incentive to make that phone call. He said something about 6 o'clock news, for someone who's in a very relaxed state to see an ad, to be inspired by that marketing message that Ryan puts out with Service Legend, and to actually pick up the phone and make a phone call, the highest chance of you actually converting that to an appointment is in that moment. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, every second that goes by, that customer's motivation, whatever that little tiny thought of the feeling is what it really is the feeling that they felt in that moment of what it would be like to step out in their garage and see how beautiful that garage will be. That is what you need to capitalize on. And what I've learned through my experience of interviewing hundreds of contractors through which I coach and really just do, because I like to learn and I also like to share what I've learned too, is that, we're not making this much of a focus. And that's kind of why automation is so important. I think we just got to understand that you are not more efficient than automation. So it's interesting that we talk about the phone. And I know that there's people the reason I'm here is to talk to those of you who aren't quite there yet that want to be. And I kind of give more of a micro perspective, but I'll say this, maybe a call center isn't in the cards for you. But one thing that I've been doing is I use a program called OpenPhone. And even though I have someone answering my phone, she is one person. She is absolutely not perfect and 100% on it at all times, which I don't expect her to be. But guess what? We set up an automation that if we miss a phone call, within seconds, a text message goes out to that customer saying, hey, so sorry we missed your call. But not just that, it's a link to say, here, fill out your information and we will confirm your appointment as soon as possible. And what I found is that we have a 95% appointment set rate on people who we actually miss their phone call and they actually fill out the form. And of course, we always call back, right? But it's like, oh, actually, we already filled out our information. Don't worry about it. And we get that information on our end. So, sometimes we need to fill in the gaps of human error with automation, with technology. And that's what we're seeing. And it's interesting because people are, of course, our market, they're accustomed to doing this. If you want customer service with your phone company, Verizon, if you want customer service with your internet company, Spectrum, Cox, all these companies, what do you have to do? Fill out your information. Okay. So it's not like this is like something that's scary anymore. This is normal. So what we do is, instead of, relying so heavily on capturing leads over the phone, answering the phone right away, which of course is valuable, we use automation in place of that. And I think that's been really helping. And again, it's moving that needle, creating a great experience, and still capitalizing on that initial emotion that got them to inquire.
Yeah, it's incredible. And so are you using Drip Jobs for that software?
So,
Like all the
well,
automation?
OpenPhone is the phone system, right? OpenPhone is the phone system.
Yeah.
They're phenomenal if you need a really good VoIP phone system. It does have those features that were mentioned about passing on the phone call if goes through so many rings. I think they're a startup. They're actually a newer program, but I absolutely love them. They make it really easy to send out that drip. For us, it's the Drip Jobs link. It's our booking link. So again, as soon as that phone call gets missed, text messages out right away with that link for them to fill out their information.
Love that. Jason, if you could speak to us, I know that you are huge into providing value to the industry as well, whether it's the articles you're writing, the content on social media. I'm not sure if you do coaching or one-on-one coaching or not, but I know you're super connected to what's working, what's not working. If you could speak to us as well, common mistakes that companies are making when it comes to sales and marketing and how they can avoid them.
Well, let me just tell you one of mine. Looking at our leads last year, the week of Thanksgiving is an interesting week. What day do you think the most leads came in on Thanksgiving, the week of Thanksgiving? If you were to guess.
Thanksgiving Eve.
I would say it's after Thanksgiving because, it would be I waited till afterwards if I was to guess.
But
I
Black
was-
Friday.
I was really surprised. We got the most leads on Thanksgiving Day.
Wow.
It blew me away. We've never been open on Thanksgiving Day. It's almost un-American, right? But you think about it, people are home. Okay, our worst day that week was generally, in most weeks, we get most of our leads. The highest lead day is Monday. But the week of Thanksgiving, it was Tuesday. Or the biggest one was Thanksgiving Day, and the second one was Tuesday. And so when I start looking back, I'm like, well, people are trying to wrap up, hurry up, and get their work done so they can take off those few days. Then they're at home. So it made sense when I started understanding it. But looking at my data opens my eyes. You think about this, the idea of a call center. How much does it cost you to man your call center with one person for an additional hour beyond your existing business hours?
Not much.
Benefits, everything in, what, $25 an hour, something like that, maybe a little more, a little less. If you miss that lead, how much does that cost you? Because it's not just I agree with Jeff, turn off your ads when you're not open. But how about the people that are just going to contact you anyways when you're not open through referrals or offline media? And what are those worth? Saving that lead is worth a lot more than that man hour. And so we've expanded our business hours because of crunching some of this data. And that's one of our big challenges is we're going to expand our call center hours even more this year. So we're actively working on that right now, just because the data shows, man, we've got to do this. We're losing opportunity here.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, I love that consistency of what you guys are sharing. I'm going to take a question from one of our guests. I have a couple more here for myself. There's a great question here, though. So it's Liam McCormack. I'm not sure what company, Liam. Liam, if you could comment, if you're still here, your company name and your industry, that would be nice. But his question is, we have recently rebranded the same and services of our company and are looking to go up from 0 to 2.1 million this year. Okay. When is this question is a little odd. When is a good time to hire a manager of a C-level position for the company? And you guys can all answer this. Obviously, Liam, 0 to 2.1, is a big deal. You might not need somebody at that time, but Jeff, what do you think? When's the best time as a new company to hire, kind of a leadership position in the business?
Yeah, I would I would say 0 is probably not a great time, but as he continues to grow, one of the things that I always like to do in every business I'm involved with is I like to do every position, right? And then I replace myself in those positions. And then as you continue to scale up, then that's whenever you're gonna hire these individuals. It does, he says manager. I mean, are we talking about we're talking about a sales manager? We're talking about a production manager. These types of things. These are all relevant, scenarios. And the reality is that from essentially 0 to 1 million, you probably don't have managers per se, right? You have somebody who's your best salesman, somebody who's your best production tech. But then as you do crest into the $2 million to $3 million range, I'm assuming you're hiring a sales manager at once you get to 3 or 4 sales reps, that type of thing. So it's kind of a difficult question to ask, because it'd be easy to just hire a manager at $0, but to be fiscally responsible, Liam most likely wants to do all the jobs, replace himself in those positions, and then he needs to work on the business, not in it.
Yeah, I love that. Tommy, Jason, and Tanner, if you guys have any input on that, feel free to share.
Yeah, I would say, look, at the end of the day, build an org chart, find out what you hate doing, find out why you hate going into work, hire for those people, get a great controller, because as an entrepreneur visionary, we know how to make money. We're good at sales. We understand marketing, but we don't know how to keep it. Read the book Profit First. Find a great controller that'll help you get better deals with your vendors, understand taxes, depreciation, buying a building, cost segregation studies, buying new vehicles, and accelerated depreciation. All these things. Controller is the most important position. 3 ways to make money really quickly. You get new customers, frequency. You keep your customers coming back more often. And number 3 is you sell your current customers more than you've already sold. You get a guy that understands that, or girl. You get a person that understands how to keep the money. I was bringing in $20 million a year, keeping like $5. So you got to keep it once you make it. And what I would say is, if you can't afford somebody great, find somebody like Tanner that could help you out, or find a fractional person. Depending on if it's CMO, you go after these C levels. First of all, if you're making $2 million, don't hire a C level person, and don't call them a VP. Say, you're a manager. You're not a VP of shit. You're not a director. You're a manager. They get fancy titles when you get about 20 million plus. And I still hate the fancy titles, but in order to recruit them and open yourself up to LinkedIn and some of these positions, you need to start calling people these fancy titles. So I wouldn't start hiring any fancy titles so you get to 20 million.
I always say I'm the janitor of Revamp. That's what
I'm the plant manager. Right? I get to water all the plants.
There you go.
At $1 million, I still don't feel like it would be worth it for me to pay a salary to somebody in my business. I think staying lean as far as you can is valuable. There's a lot of growing pains in the first 2 years that I think all of us would agree are important to experience. I think I always use the analogy of owning a restaurant is good, but owning a restaurant and not knowing how to manage the kitchen is bad. If your chef leaves the kitchen, you have no way to produce food for your customers. So I think it's important to go through all the roles. Like Tommy said, identify what you don't like to do. I think a lot of us naturally who go into business at this level, if you're going from 0 to 2 million, that's quite the jump. I mean, you're naturally going to have to be a salesperson, right? So, the next smart play is to get a project manager, assuming that to get to 2 million, let's say you're a house painting company, you're going to need about 6 crews to generate that. And essentially just, identify, write down all of the little things that a project manager would do. And to me, for 6 crews, really it's, I believe it's communicating with the customer, identifying colors, getting all that information, checking in on crews, building relationships with crews, keeping tabs on crews. I mean, that's a whole role within itself. But I think obviously, maybe your strong point is project management. Maybe you like to be involved in the projects. Maybe you like stopping at the jobs. Maybe you like more of a passive role, a management role. I don't really know who you are, what you do, but in that case, hire a salesperson, So I think beyond $1 million, you should start thinking about it. But even I'm hovering around that $1.3 million. And, to justify paying someone's salary to check on 3 crews still isn't justifiable for me. So I can, trust the crew leaders to do what they need to do, so.
Love that. Jason, what about you? Any input on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been through that before. And, as your company starts growing, a painting company, you start getting in that 3 million plus, and you don't have any managers, you're spread really thin. And there's a good chance that you're not doing a great job at anything. You're probably fighting a lot of fires instead of preventing fires. And that's one of those things. Again, I just say, the whole contractor prison. You're in contractor prison because you're a slave to your business. Well, what I did, I mapped out my org chart. I put my name in all of the boxes. And honestly, I said a little prayer over it and said, God, I need help, and so I started hiring, and, I had to take it right out of the profit. Well, it freed my time up piece by piece as I started carving those little pieces off and delegating those out to people. And I began to specialize, and they began to specialize. And that's when we really started to grow, is when I put the right people in place. So, I agree with what Tanner said. Find the piece that maybe you're not the best at, and get that person, and then focus on what you're good at and grow it, and then carve the next one off. And again, you don't need fancy titles necessarily. You need people that are going to get stuff done. At the end of the day, you need things done. You need customers wowed. So, that's what I did, and I'm a huge fan of that.
Love that. And we have a ton of questions I'm noticing that are outside of sales and marketing, which I love these questions. Some great questions. I'll take one more here that I have, which is, if you had to pick 3 marketing platforms that you could not go without in 2023, what would they be? Jason, we can just start with you again, and we'll go back up kind of in reverse to Tanner, Tommy, and back to Jeff.
Well, if you talk about a platform, okay, are we talking digital platforms? Okay, because is the mailbox a platform? Is the front door a platform? Nobody likes to go out and knock on doors. But guess what? When you knock on doors and you get a lead, there's nobody else quoting that project. Think about it. Nobody. It's highly unlikely that someone else is quoting that project. And so I think there's things that require, I call it the Goodyear plan, the tread on the sole of your shoes. Okay, so everything you can do that's virtually free, yard signs, your branded vehicles, your shirts, knock on the doors, canvassing. And of course, there's, Facebook would be a great one. And, but if you don't know what you're doing, you're just going to blow a lot of money. Right. So you need someone, maybe there's, some guys on this call that could help you with that possibly, but I would say, Facebook, is definitely one there, and Google Business Profile, man, that's free. That's free. You can hire SEO companies and all this, but Google really wants to, own your website already. So why not put some effort right into your Google Business Profile?
Yeah, 100%. Love that. Tanner, what about you? What are your thoughts on that? Oh, you're muted, brother. Let's see if I can help you out.
I think every market's different. I think seasonally things change. I think if you spread out on a month-to-month basis, $1,000 on Facebook, Google, Angie, direct mail, let's say you do 10 different channels, I guarantee you every single month it'll be different. So it's just like stocks. It's important to diversify. We just don't we're always guessing. And I think the worst thing you can do is make an assumption of if a marketing channel is a good marketing channel based on 1 or 2 months of results. That's really not smart, because we know that Google's going to generate leads. We know that Facebook can generate plenty of leads. We know that Angie Leads, or these lead services, Thumbtack, CraftJack, we know that they're going to generate leads. We know that if you do enough mailers, you'll get someone to call. We know that if you do enough door knocking, you'll find someone interested. So I think it's important to not be, I think it's like throwing an interception in football, right? If 1 month you throw an interception on a lead generation service, you got to have amnesia, and you have to really try to get yourself a 3 to 6 month average before you write it off. So to answer the question more directly, I would say you should try really an organic channel, which I believe Google My Business is, of course, such an effective platform. Don't overthink that. Literally just have more reviews than everyone else. And I think as we continue on this online digital marketing journey, 50 reviews is the minimum that you should have if you think that you're going to have any sort of exposure on Google My Business. All of us here, guarantee you, Jeff, Tommy, and Jason, literally hammer our team to get us Google reviews. That is the mecca. So if you're not focusing on that, unfortunately, you're not really going to be in contention. But I think we should also venture into these lead services. Let these lead generator, Thumbtack, CraftJack, Angie, let them, spend their marketing dollars to generate interest and let us be there waiting to receive that lead. Of course, they have pros and cons. I'm not being biased here. I'm just saying try it. And of course, Facebook marketing for the exposure. So, those are my three, try it out, diversify, see your results, and then refine.
Love that. So we have Tanner, Jason from kind of the painting industry, and we have Tommy from Garage Door side. Tommy, if you could speak to us a little bit about that, like what are the top 3 platforms that you're seeing work best that you can't go without this year?
Well, I kind of changed everything when COVID happened. I stopped focusing on getting clients. Clients are easy. I focus a lot more of my marketing dollars on getting the right individuals to come work for me, my internal customers. So now I'm doubling down every single month on how do I get an A+ player, because an A+ player will literally run circles around 3 B players. You look at my top 10%, it's the old, really, it's an 80-20 rule. The top 20% of the company are making 80% of the profits. So all these people are trying to get more leads when they shit the bed, and excuse my French because I keep saying the shit word. But I think you got to really focus.
I think we're all contractors around here, so I think it's acceptable. So
I think we're okay. I didn't use the F word. So focus on the people first. And then if I had to tell you, Google is God. I know, for painting, it's such a visual thing, especially flooring. If you could hit the customer at the right time, here's what I would do if I were heavy into floor coating, which I'm not. Number one, I would have a really, 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 really nice trailer. I'd leave that at the lot. And I'd say we could get this moved out tomorrow. I'd get the diamond grinders there at night. And then I'd knock on every door right in the vicinity that could hear that. And I'd say, hey there, how are you today? Listen, I'm not here to sell you anything. Listen, I'm there at Rebecca's house, Miss Smith, and we're going to be diamond grinding. I know it's a little bit noisy, and I just wanted to tell you I really, really wanted to apologize. If it's annoying you, let us know. We've got some noise dampeners in there. We've got some things to make it quieter. We're doing something special in the neighborhood. If it's something you want, here's a before and after picture. We're going to be over here. Let us know. Really soft approach. Hey, I'm just letting you know we're going to be a little bit loud. It's not a sales pitch. And there's a lot of things. It really depends on the industry, but Google's got, they got 4 algorithms that people don't realize. LSA is number 1. Local service ads are better than Google My Business, period. Google My Business is number 2. Organic is number 3. Pay-per-click is what I use for capacity planning. And I always look at marketing as a percentage of revenue. And here's the deal. I don't mind if I spend 20% of revenue if it's a $10,000 job versus if I could get more out of a lead, marketing could be a higher percentage of revenue. Meaning if I get a $200,000 job, I don't care if it's 15, 20% because I built in the margin into that call. So there's a lot of things that are relative among the different businesses. What I would tell you guys is if you're not using financing and saying something simple, did you want to use your money or did you want to use our money today? Then they start asking questions. And if you're not using financing, you'll find that you can close a lot more deals that you're not closing right now. And people say, well, I've tried financing, but you never trained on it. You never had your guys show you they could do it in front of you 10 times over again, show you how they log in, show you how they run through the customer. Everybody says, I tried, these victim mentalities, but they never trained on it. So, as much as I love marketing, I'd say marketing comes easy. When you got great people, they're talking to the neighbors. They're talking to people at the gas station. They're posting automatically on their social media. They're at church handing out business cards. They're going to B&I meetings because they want to, not because they have to. So the people matter more than the marketing.
Yeah. I love that, man. Jeff, what about you? What's working over there in the concrete coating side of things?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if you didn't write down, do you want to use your money or our money to get this done? You're a fool. I've been selling financing on jobs for 15 years, and I think if I would have just said that, I'd probably increase my close rate about 5%. So, that was a pretty fire statement. I'm biased, right? Just because, like I said, man, in 2017, when we started running Facebook ads, there wasn't a single concrete coating company running ads on Facebook. In fact, they were telling us to, do Valpak and these other things. The reality is that, we wouldn't be able to function without Facebook. Google is a good source for us, but we don't have the benefit of the LSA package that these other guys do because apparently Google doesn't recognize concrete coatings as a service. which is kind of frustrating, to be honest with you, because I do see the value in it for garage doors, HVAC, these other type of painting. It's probably a huge driver, which maybe Ryan, you could make that happen with Google someday for us. We are getting back into the show and events. So Tommy brought up a great thing. We used to do a brand ambassador canvas thing. Kind of got halted by COVID. People weren't real friendly when you knocked on their door during COVID. So we're kind of getting back into the yeah, exactly. Right. Get away. So we're getting back into the home show and event space. Actually, this is our first year back. We took a couple of years off from it just because of declining efforts. We were putting in a ton of effort and getting a lot less back. So this is our first year back, and it seems to be going pretty good. So I would say for us, it's Facebook, it's Instagram, it's we don't have LSA, so we have to go more organic and pay per clicks, which isn't as much fun. And then shows and events. Big thing for us though, like one of the things that these other guys said was referrals and getting those those Google reviews. So like every day, all day long, I'm getting notifications that somebody left us a 5-star review somewhere across the country, and we use a thing called Nice Jobs to get those reviews. I don't know if Drip Jobs does the same thing, but it gives us it pushes them to Facebook, it pushes them to Google, and it pushes. But that's all it is, right? Like it gives us a review on the front side for the sales guys, and gives us a review on the back side for the production techs. And 5-star Google reviews are king. We actually increased this last year by like I don't know, it was like 500% or something on our reviews. It was huge.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Hey,
that social proof go ahead.
Good question for you aces in the whole flooring stuff. If there's a brand new house and the contractor did a special job on the concrete, do you have to diamond grind all the time, or can you go right over the top of a brand new concrete job?
No, you have to diamond grind every time. You got to open the pores up so that the base coat will accept it.
Okay. I just had a crazy idea. I wasn't sure. All right.
Don't use a sander, okay? Freaking Tommy's in there with like a floor buffer. No, I'm just kidding. Tommy, you can come to one of our jobs here at Cardinal. I'll show you here in town, bro.
I know we got to talk. I already texted you during this meeting.
Yeah.
My brain is it's firing on a lot of cylinders, and I'm ready to do some pretty cool stuff. So we'll talk about.
We could just do a deal live, dude. Just live on.
Well,
air.
my whole thing is, I'll just be frank. Listen, I'm getting the better deals on storage than anybody in the country times 10. So you go walk in that garage. What's the first thing you see? Is a bunch of crap everywhere. So why not have a spot for it while you're there? And that's the difference. Is hey, I noticed your garage door is messy. The problem is now you're carrying inventory, a ton of stuff. So I'm working on that too, but. Ultimately, I want to own the garage, right? And if you guys are selling this stuff, why not partner with a company like me? Here's what I've learned. I don't want to be in 17 industries. I want to find a good referral partner that'll throw me 10%. Because if I did everything I thought I could do, I'd be nuts. So why not just say, just give me 10% or build in a fee and just say, listen, you come do what you do best. And that's where I feel like
it's kind of funny though. So we thought that like you said, you want to own the garage, right? So we really thought that like the cabinets and then like the you guys have seen those walls, right?
Yeah.
Like
flat walls.
Slat walls. So we really thought that would be like the same customer, right? Because like I have that, I got a floor, I got the slat wall, I got the cabinets. It's not the same customer. It's weird. They're crazy people because they just want the floor done. I've tried to get these people to buy these cabinets and these slat walls, and they won't do it.
What I'm talking about is the cheap 4x8s that
like
literally cost
bars, right?
And I'm just saying, let's put this stuff up. Let's have stuff for your Christmas tree. I'm talking about a few $100 and we make money, not some $10,000 cabinets, which those things get expensive.
Yeah. What about painting the walls and the ceiling? I mean, do you guys offer that, Jeff? Like, I mean,
there we go. There we go. Now we're getting creative, Tanner. There we go.
Yeah. No, we don't. We the slat.
Oh, that's such an easy one, dude.
Dude, I know, but it's you know what? I'll run some leads with you. We'll sell it together.
I'd love to, man.
Listen, guys, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 notes and 2 pages of notes on top of that. So
love that.
I've literally texted 7 people already. If you guys see my head down, because I don't wait to do things. And I'm not saying I'm cool, but I'm saying these kind of things, they remind you things, and you got to take action and you got to make moves. And hopefully the people that are listening, hopefully there's a lot of people saying, man, if these guys that are on here are learning from each other, I should be taking notes, but more importantly, implementing some of these things and not having, go to your girlfriend. I got a great idea. I can't wait to get started. Then life slaps you in the face and you never get to it.
I love it. I mean, I think I've always kind of, since you and I spoke, Tommy, like, dude, action. It's like you haven't spoke since last year. You haven't stopped, man. I love that. And you're just writing notes, man. And I'm already thinking, why haven't I added financing? Like, I'm learning here. I mean, this is cool for me to share, but I'm learning too.
Yeah, man, I got some killer notes, man. I love doing this stuff. I'm excited that Ryan invited all of us, because anytime you get a chance to do a panel like this and you're not taking notes and implementing just one thing. I mean, sometimes we overwhelm ourselves and we take 10 things. Circle the one main thing. I've already made 2 calendar appointments since we've been on this call to have a 15-minute discussion with Ryan. Already got a text message, didn't you, Ryan? I don't know. You're really focused on this, but
no, I did. I'm like
things.
you, dude. I'm like everywhere here. So
that's good. Go ahead. Run your show here.
Well, Tommy, what's your average ticket?
12. Well, let's see. Yesterday was 1184.
1184 for
that's
not selling a door though, right? That's what's your average
door sales actually?
$1,184.
$1,184.
Okay.
What's the what was the top line yesterday, Tommy?
452. It sucked. Someone's getting. We got some issues in our install department. We did great in service, but I need to be doing way more. I need to be having $650,000, $700,000 days, and it's all because of our install department.
Yeah.
So we're making some fast changes.
That's the biggest thing that I see, guys. For those of you that are listening here live or on the replay, is the ability and the quickness of idea to execution, the idea to implementation. The most successful people I know, Jeff, Tommy. You look at Ken Goodrich. You look at anybody. Even Victor Rancor is going crazy right now with everything that he's doing. And I just got a text from Marco that Victor is going to be on next Friday on our podcast. But the ability to just go, idea, I want to do this, and then it's actually implemented, or there's a meeting scheduled, or there's a text going out, or there's something that's kind of developing the momentum. I see that with the most successful people in home service that are just crushing it. So the faster that you can create an idea and then implement it, the more successful that you're going to be. We had an amazing question here from Travis George of Tag Concrete Coatings, one of our clients here at Service Legend, multiple locations, multiple 7 figures. This is a little bit different than sales and marketing, but I thought it was relevant. It's mainly for Jeff and Tommy, but Tanner and Jason would love to hear from you guys if you have some input. This one says, what are the top factors in deciding your multiplier when doing business valuations? Jeff, we can
I'll go real quick. I'll make it simple. There's usually industry averages, right? There's usually a multiple. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 5. It's about 12 for plumbing and HVAC. Really what happens is you got to look at certain factors. Ken Goodrich would tell you, who cares about a multiple? He bought Gettle when it was losing $2 million a year. So sometimes you got to look at, what can I fix? The main thing I care about is 4 key performance indicators. What's your average ticket? What's your conversion rate? What's your booking rate? And what does it cost you to acquire a customer? Why I love buying 30-year-old companies is they don't do marketing. And they're getting all these customers. They're keeping 12 guys busy, running 7 calls a day, which they should be running 3 a day. They don't open their book. They don't open on the weekends or nights or holidays. So that's the KPI. They do better than us because they've been around. They got the repeat business. They got the stickers. So I look at, what can I do to this company? And then I look at how long is it going to be to implement it and integrate it. So I'd say I like to be right around 5. And here's the crazy thing. What I'm willing to do is I'm willing to do an earn out with companies or let them roll into the master company. And then I tell them your 20% you're rolling will be worth more than the other 80%. And all I got to do is stay on for 3 years. And all I want them to do is do what they did great, relationships and make sure to maintain the current people that work there. If they can do that, they've done a job well done. I'm not going to have them. You can never treat an owner like a market manager, because the one day you do, They're like, dude, I ain't doing this stuff. You want me to do inventory and look at gas carts? I own a business for 5-10 years, whatever it is. They're not going to do this stuff. And I realized that really, really a lot in the last 6 months. And not to say my market managers, but their employees, they never owned a business. It's a lot different.
100%.
Yeah, that's yeah. When you take these acquisitions, and then all of a sudden, like I'm an employee this last year for the first time in 15 years,
Me
and
too.
yeah, I got my first paycheck, and I was like, man, this is terrible. You know,
They're taking Jeff to HR, dude. Jeff is going straight to HR after this. No.
yeah, Cree's probably watching, but who's FICA and why are they taking all my money?
Yeah.
No, it's Tommy's right. Integration is huge, but like it could be 1x, right? It could be 5x, it could be 7x. It just really depends on what that business is. And we've bought businesses that weren't necessarily profitable, but maybe we're a market leader, right, in their market. And so the multiplier is irrelevant to it's a very subjective thing, I think, is kind of what Tommy was trying to say, is that it's not something that's a fixed number. But I would say that like a 3x is pretty common in this industry. 4x, 5x can happen if they have very, very strong numbers. But that's less important on the front side, although I know as the owner of somebody selling something, it's more important to what the rolled equity is on the backside, because we've kept
Right.
of all the acquisitions that we did in this last 18 months, we only had two owners exit, and we replaced them with other people from our staff. So it's really just I look for a business that for a coatings industry that's running 5 crews, that's doing about $2 to $3 million in business. I kind of don't like to get them too high. They're a lot harder to integrate and change. So I like to have something that we can work with and kind of build that runway.
Yeah, I love that. And so just for Travis, when you say a multiple of, whether it's 3 or 5, is that of net profit? Is that EBITDA? If you could speak to that quickly.
EBITDA is I didn't even 4 years ago, I don't think I even knew what EBITDA was.
Yeah, me neither.
Now I dream about it.
Tommy. That's what he gave me.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
EBITDA is the holy grail of which Tommy and I drink from every single day, because we are now, we're now pawns in the private equity factor. But it's crazy to how you can take a company that has like no EBITDA or maybe is losing money and drive that up to $2-3 million, and then what that talking about what that factor is now you have a company that's doing $3 million in EBITDA, and now they're potentially worth $9 to $15 million, and
which is arbitrage.
Mm-hmm.
And that the word I like more than EBITDA, which is earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. So it's a fancy way of saying profit with some add backs, is the fact that we could actually arbitrage is the most amazing thing in the world. And I thought this is better than like dealing drugs. Dealing drugs is not cool, but what I'm saying is you see that Pablo Escobar was worth like $25 billion or something. Arbitrage is the craziest phenomenal thing that there's ever been. And when you buy enough companies, the magic number is 20 million of EBITDA. The next one is 100 million of EBITDA. And then once you get past 200 million of EBITDA, there's only about 5 buyers. Blackstone, KKR. I mean, there's not a lot of people that are going to buy you. And it's more strategic at that point. You might want a lot of times what will happen is a manufacturer of the epoxy or polyaspartus will buy you, because they'll say, shoot, we're B2B. Now we can go B2C. And it makes sense. They can own it soup to nuts. But they're going to want to make sure to keep the founder involved and make sure the managers are involved. And they're going to make what I call the golden parachute of an equity incentive program with profit shares to keep everybody on this bus as long as possible.
Yeah, Tommy, I don't think they're ever going to let you off the bus there, boss.
I enjoy this bus. As long as it stays running, I'm good.
He's like, the bus just keeps going around the neighborhood, and I never get to get off. Everybody else is jumping off, but I don't get to get off.
Hey, I can't imagine my life, man, just not doing what we're doing. Can you imagine just waking up? I'd be at like we bought a place in Idaho. We haven't built yet, but fishing, golf, lots of winter sports. After 3 days of just doing that, I'm like, okay, my brain is just like, I'm getting dumber by the minute. I've got to do something.
Love that, man. Tanner, Jason, any input on that? I'm not sure if you guys are buying companies or have any input from your perspective at all.
No, I just Googled 2 things that I didn't know. Just taking.
Love it. Okay, so another question here from Creighton Caudell, which Jeff, I think you know Creighton. So he's talking about the difference between like online and offline marketing. And guys, we have about 15 minutes left before we wrap up, but we have a couple more questions. But Creighton is kind of curious about online marketing versus offline. Like, what is the percentage? So if you're going to spend 20%, you spend 10% offline, 10% on online. What's the mix up? Jason, let's start with you, and then we'll go back up, Tanner, Tommy, and end with Jeff there.
I don't think there's a magic formula. I mean, I know companies that do 100% of their marketing canvassing or 100% digital. You know, what is the mix in your market, and what can you be good at? So I'm a huge fan of a well-rounded marketing program, because you never know when something's going to, upset the apple cart. You know, there was one year back in the, I don't know, it was 2005. Like 90% of our leads came from this one print magazine. And all of a sudden, 1 month, the phones didn't ring. Boom. That was a tough month, a real tough month. And, there was back in the day, there was a lot of companies that got all their business through fax machine marketing. Well, then the FCC said, we're done with that. Businesses, went out. What's it going to take for Google or Facebook to not like you, to change your algorithm, or to say you've been buying customer reviews, you're blacklisted? What's it going to take? So having a well-rounded marketing program, I think, is a key. But I monitor mine, but mine shifts. Whatever is performing, we're going to start moving money that way, and whatever's not performing is going to start to get a little sidelined a little bit. And sometimes that's us making better ads, better calls to action. But it's not always us. It could be that marketing partner isn't holding up their end of the deal, or for whatever reason, that whole type of channel is not working that month.
Yeah. Is that something you guys monitor daily, weekly? Like, how do you make, what's the rhythm of optimization inside the business in terms of, okay, we're going to look at this account or these campaigns or monitor X, Y, and Z? Is it daily? Is it weekly? How do you guys walk through that?
Well, we monitor the leads where they're coming from daily, especially on anything that's like a pay-per lead, because you get a lot of junk in there and you got to fight to get those back. And the longer you wait, the harder it is. But we make adjustments typically monthly. We plan annually. Here's our plan. This is what we're planning on doing. But then we adjust the budget, we have some things we're on an annual contract, and there's not much negotiation for what we're going to spend. But for instance, like Angie Ads, okay, we're under contract for the dollars we're going to spend with them for the year, but the services that I offer within their categories, I can change that. So if it's a slow time and I didn't want to do, one room paint jobs during the busy time, I can go in and turn that on. So you need to know what are the levers that you can pull. It's not a direct answer to the question, but what are the levers that I can move? Can I adjust budget? Can I adjust geography? Can I adjust the offering, the daily spend, all of those things? And marketing is a huge part of your budget. And if you're not watching your marketing, it can just drain your profits really quick.
Yeah, 100%. Tanner, what about you guys over there?
I went to a retirement community. We're here in Florida, Central Florida. So there's a lot of retirees that we work with. And, it just dawned on me yesterday. Sometimes I get so focused on online marketing channels that we forget that there's just this massive amount of individuals that don't want anything to do with online at all. These community newsletters for some reason have been knocking at my door. So all these retirement communities have some sort of newsletter. And what I've decided this week is I'm just going to double down on it. I'm going to really give it an honest try. I'm going to get their biggest page, maybe the front, maybe the back of the magazine, or, just a whole page ad, and just kind of see what happens. Because I did that in 2016. I wasn't as aware as a business owner to track this stuff back then. And I kind of just faded out of it. I kind of said, this thing sucks. I paid for 6 months for a fifth of a page. And, I'd get a little bit of traction, but, I just haven't doubled down on that. So, that's something that I'm going to focus on, is just finding the big retirement communities and just putting something in there, again, just for balance. Like Jason said, it's funny enough that you mentioned that, Jason. I actually did an address change on my Google My Business because I don't know why something was off on it, and they suspended me. So what I heavily rely on every single day for the phone to ring was absolutely obsolete, gone, like as if it never existed. All of my competitors, I always check my rank. All my competitors were there. I'm like, I literally just got kicked out of the game. And I'm like, if this happened, and I wasn't able to get it back, because trust me, if you get removed from Google, you're helpless. Like, they don't just have like a support line. Okay. Like, you just you're at the mercy of this company. And it's like, it made me realize, like, whoa, I'm way too over invested in Google being my lead source. So, again, just focusing, like, I don't think offline marketing is a bad thing necessarily. I think, for me, at least, I have the benefit of retirement communities, but I'm sure anyone can find really good gated communities. I'm sure they all have some sort of, even if it's unfortunately, even if it's a digital newsletter, but I think a lot of them still are printing out some form of print for their community. And I'm going to try that. See what happens.
Love that. And obviously, Tommy, you are everywhere. I mean, if I go out of my house right now, I'll see a truck, a billboard. I'll see something. I mean, this morning I'm drinking coffee and I saw the new TV commercial, which was actually really, really good. But obviously, you do a lot of offline, Tommy. If you could speak to that, what's the mix over at A1 that you guys are doing between online and offline?
Well, it's much higher online, but here's the deal. You got to make sure your properties on Google are at the top, because what offline does, TV, radio, billboards, even mailers, what my wrapped vehicles do is they grow the brand. So what happens online is my branded search terms go through the roof, but I got to make sure I own that top, or at least the second pay-per-click when I'm doing a lot of TV, radio, billboards, but also I want to make sure my Google My Business ranks at the top. I want to make sure I'm running the LSA. I want to make sure my organics checked out. And then here's what I figured out in the last few years. If I've got a high ticket average and a high conversion rate, then the better the conversion rate and average ticket, the more I could do offline. And I've got to wait till I hit a threshold. I've got 3 thresholds I hit with my KPIs. And when I'm fully blown, like when I'm hitting all of my KPIs, I'm going to own that market. I met with a guy named Rafi. He's a buddy, Brandon Rafi. I met with him several times. We've hung out kind of games together. And he just goes in and takes over a market. Now, he's a greenfield type guy, but he runs 850 personal injury tickets a month in Phoenix. He took over 2 Sundays running 500. And so you got to ask yourself, do I have a system in place to be able to take over a market? And unfortunately for us, we can't have everything internal. We got to actually show up to the home. And so it's not easy to go in greenfield versus there's greenfield, which is organic growth in a new market. And then there's the opposite of greenfield, which is M&A, mergers and acquisitions. You're going to grow one of those 2 ways. And I love community newsletters that Tanner said. We're members of this company. What I used to do is so much different. I'm going back to my old ways a little bit because I used to just be really scrappy. I used to do things no one else did. I used to do things that took time. And I want to get back into this, like BNI groups. But I'm a member of Pora in Sun City. And I'm telling you, we get more leads in Sun City through Pora because they all belong to this organization. And another thing that I'll tell you guys just real quick is I've got 6,000 call tracking numbers. Every single one of my Valpak, every little ad that pops up, there's what's called dynamic numbers that pop up on an ad group versus static numbers. So I know down to the ad campaign using CallRail, what ads are doing what. And what I learned about business is it's not for the faint at heart. The things I'm talking about, the things you're hearing, and I hate to say this, but I want to end with this. It's a little bit depressing. But there's an entrepreneur and there's an intrapreneur. And some people are really good and they love what they do and they can go work for a company and make more money, less stress, and they can take their work jacket off at 40, 45 hours a week and really deepen their relationships. And some people, we got to go through hell. Anybody that thinks business is easy is wrong. And I know this is a marketing question, but people are like, dude, I don't even know where to start. I listen to you talk and you're freaking crazy. Like you're obsessed with all these different KPIs. You've got these OKRs, you've got the CRM, you got your price book, you got this tax rulings. And I'm like, I know I'm literally crazy, but I enjoy it. So the last thing I'll say is, like, some of you guys, like, you can partner with a guy like, Ryan, whether it be Jeff. I mean, Jason's doing amazing things. Tanner's got a great company. I'm not saying get out of what you're doing, but if you love what you're doing, if you love marketing, go work in marketing. If you want to go through it and you think owning a business is the right move and you've got a very thick skin, then keep doing what you're doing, man. It's the best business. It's a great opportunity, but if I'm going to be 40 in March, and I don't know if I'd start again. I don't know. I know a lot of stuff now, so I'm not afraid of it. But if I just came in kind of green, there's no way in hell I would do it if I didn't know what I know now. I'll just tell you guys that. I don't mean to scare anybody. Sorry.
Well, you know what?
I think you're full of shit, Tommy. You are crazy. You do it again.
At some point I got to have kids, and if I had kids, I would never be able to do this stuff.
Crazy. Hey, I got kids. Ryan's got kids, but we also don't have $190 million garage company either. So that's...
Jeff, what about you, man?
I think you have to. I think if you're gonna do it, like, you have to be consistent. So, like, I absolutely despise print ads and things of that nature. I can't stand them. Every time a newspaper company calls me, I just cringe when I see it pop up on my phone. But saying that, it doesn't mean that it's not useful, right? So I'll say, like, there's some markets that we're in, like Ormond Beach, Florida. We have the Flagler brand there. That's a tough one to. It's all retirees, right? Like Central Florida for Tanner. Like, it's like they're not responding to your Facebook ads the way that you think they are. Or what they'll do, because they don't like have it on their phone, is they'll like start a conversation and then you respond back to them, and then they get up and they go have brunch and they forget about you. 4 days later, they contact you back, right? And you're like, I can't actually set the lead because the conversation starts every 4 days. And so, but what I will say is, like, if you're going to do like the home mag and you're going to do some of these printed applications, we actually we use a company called Mailbox Power. So if you've not used Mailbox Power, basically what it does is you build these campaigns inside of there, and I take all of my sales from, so in February we're going to do it. Take all of our sales from January, and we send them out our completed jobs. Actually, Jason, don't just send your sales, completed jobs. We take all of our completed jobs, we load them into Mailbox Power, and it sends out a nice postcard like, hey, your neighbor got their garage floor done by us. And that was us. It's like this guy, he actually looks like our guy that we use for TV. And then it sends them out to the 5 nearest neighbors around that house.
Does
like
Mailbox Power, it's just like send out cards, is it automatically, because I pay for that every month? No. I haven't used it. But does it figure out your closest neighbors?
Yep, it does it for you.
And you can send brownies too. I think Brandon Vaughn sends a brownie with his logo on it versus a postcard. Or no. It's a brownie with their logo on it with the postcard, I believe.
Yeah, I'm cheap. And I also run way more jobs than Brandon does. So
a little wild on that type of stuff. So
yeah. So if you were to send out,
what is a brownie? Is someone going to be like, oh my God, I need to go on Facebook today. They just sent me a brownie. I'm like, the brownies and the cookies it's a nice gesture, but I'm sure they're just like, okay, I'm trying to get healthy. It's January. And this asshole buys me a freaking brownie.
You should send like some vegetables.
So there's actually some cool stuff, like, I think this is like a thing that you can get. It's like a big ass coaster.
There's a bunch of heard of these guys, Jeff. I'm just looking at their website. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. They have like mugs, like a coffee mug. A long time ago when I worked for Erie Metal Roofs, they would give coffee mugs with every sale. The problem that you'll run into is that they're out of Utah, and so the shipping can be a little expensive. So like I said, we're running about 1,000 jobs a month, and so if I was to put that cost in there, I can send a 44-cent postcard out. That's no problem. But if I start sending $20 per customer, I'm probably going to get a question. Somebody's going to start asking some questions. So
yeah.
You can also set a threshold, Tommy. You can set a threshold that says if customer spends more than $5,000, then we'll send them a coffee mug or whatever, right? But whatever,
Marcus,
yeah,
you're top G. So
Yeah, kind
I'm not-
of going back to the question though, is that whatever you're going to do, like be consistent, right? So like, Tommy said he's got 6,000 tracking numbers. Like the reason that like TV and print pisses me off is that it's almost, you can't really quantify it, because what happens is they go to your website, right? And
You
or
need
they
to quantify it against Google. You
Yeah.
literally, you need to do an ad for 6 months and say, how did this help my paid ads? How did it drive? So at Ken Gooder's shit, he was spending 400 grand a month on online, just on Google stuff, pay per click. This is before LSA, and he went down to $40,000 when he started doing radio all the time, because he realized they're all searching Gettle. It's hard to spell, but it'll keep you cool. We've all heard it. He went to the
Yeah.
Wizard of Ads, and what he realized is, man, Google's taking all the credit. He's still getting all the search volume, but he's getting the customer for way cheaper. You could own that client where they think of you. And a person that searches for you, Jeff, they'll pay more, they'll wait longer, and they're happier.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Yeah, the branded ads are, give me all the branded leads, right? Like that's the ones I want. I
Well,
always
hey-
thought back in the day, cold call telemarketing was one of the ways we used to do roofing in windows, and give me a cold call telemarketing lead all day long, because if they'll set on the phone, they'll sell in the house.
Yep.
The cool thing with Google search ads when you do branded campaigns is you can actually show up when somebody searches TSR. So when somebody searches TSR, Cardinals ad will come up, right? So you can do those types of things as well and get in front or next to your competitors. So if A1 has all these thousands and thousands of searches, I'm going to run a co-branded campaign on them and get nice and close and cuddly with that.
It's really expensive for Ryan because his quality score is not the same as TSR.
True.
So he'll
True.
pay about 10 times more. And so what I did in Milwaukee years ago, when I was kind of an asshole, there's this company called Geis, and their motto was, don't think twice, just call Geis. And I took the top spot and I said, you better think twice before you call Geis. And it was the best ad we ran the whole year in Milwaukee.
That's hilarious.
That's a good one. Yeah, no, I know. I see Ryan piggybacking on our
You
stuff
see that?
right now. Yeah,
That's Marco, man. That's Marco. Blame Marco.
it's okay. It's okay. There's there's so much concrete to be coated that it's silly to argue about it.
Here's what I would ask is, you guys heard of Blue Ocean? Like, what makes, so if I'm an old person, why would I want this? Number one, it's easy to spray out. Number two is it's slip resistant. Number three, if I could come up with 10 reasons why it really helps somebody out, maybe the insurance company will pay part of it. If I'm in a slippery area, think about the old people in the Midwest, right? Or New York or East Coast. If like the average person falls in their garage getting into their car, maybe you start talking to an insurance company. I think it's about looking behind the corners. It's about thinking differently. It's about going, how could I do this? How could I get someone else to pay for a piece of this? How do I bring awareness of this? Instead of doing what everybody else is doing, try to think outside of the box.
Yeah. Well, we've had to, because of the amount of people that copy our campaigns and piggyback on our campaigns, Ryan. We've definitely really had to go a different route, right? Like, the other thing I would say that I think is important is that the ad, like content, it's content. So if you watch Gary Vee, he's always like put out like 10 pieces of content today, but it doesn't always have to be an ad, right? It can be informational, it can be educational. And sometimes, like, I'll just show up to a job site on a random job site, go live, introduce all the guys that are there. You'd be surprised how many people will just tune into that. I mean, we have over 60,000 followers on our Facebook, and we'll get there'll be like 100 viewers, 200 viewers on there that are just hanging out.
Hey, Marco's doing some audits right now live for us. So
that's okay, Marco. You can be number one. You can be number one in Phoenix.
yeah. Jeff hates Phoenix. Tanner, Jason. Any final thoughts, guys? I know we're 3 minutes past here. I don't want to take too much more of your time. I'm going to be respectful. Really appreciate everyone showing up live, and I'm sure everyone's going to show up on the replay. And I'm sure these folks will be in the Facebook groups commenting on some questions that are being asked. But any final thoughts, Jason, Tanner, Jeff, Tommy?
Yeah, my thoughts are, exposure is the first step to growth. I mean, being exposed to what Jeff is saying and Tommy, having high level conversations, being flies on the wall, hearing
hearing words that I haven't been exposed to when it comes to acquisitions, integrations. The only integration I'm aware of is what you connect in terms of software. So hearing these guys talk about this sort of stuff is so valuable. For me, I would just say my one piece of advice to those of you that are in my world, trying to get to 1 million, almost at 1.5, 2 million, is this is your time period to test what works. Make sure that you identify what you've done and then refine that, because really, I think Jeff and Tommy would agree, it's about duplicating something that works. Once these guys find a system, on a large scale, I'm pretty sure that their mindset is, how can I repeat this result and how can I refine this process? So honestly, I mean, for me, just at a lower level here, I'm still trying a bunch of different things, print ads, getting back on Angie. Like Angie Leads was average for us last year. This month, it's literally the reason why we've been able to keep our crews busy. So it's just like, if I would have just wrote that off, it wouldn't have been effective, but I guarantee next month it'll be a different story. So stay diversified, continue to get exposure with people that are doing bigger things than you are, and are willing to share their journey. And check out Service Legend. Ryan, you've done a great job putting this together, man. Thanks.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Jason?
A marketing strategy that a lot of new guys have, and it's easy to have when you're younger company, is we're the best. We're the best. We're the best. Call us. We're the best. And that's not what they're looking for. Identifying what our customers want, what they need, what are their pain points, what are their fears, all of those things will really help your marketing go a long way.
I love that, man.
And thank you, Ryan, for putting this on. I've found value in this myself.
Yeah, I love it. Jeff, Tommy, any final thoughts before you guys get going?
Yeah. I've been watching the comments here on the side, and there's a lot of questions as to like the process. And I actually mentioned it when we were in Vegas, so I'll just touch on it for a second. But it's like when do I scale, right? And so there's a lot of these questions on the side here for like how do I go to my next trailer? And I like to start with saying going from trailer 1 to trailer 2 is the hardest transition you're ever going to make by far. And I'm sure Tommy would agree, the first $100,000 a year that you made was way harder than the first $1 million, right? Like that's how it always worked. And so kind of the thing that I always use is anytime I go into a market, I market for 2 straight weeks without ever actually running the appointment. We get as many appointments built up as we possibly can. On the beginning of the 3rd week, we send out a sales rep goes out and he runs those leads. We run leads for 45 straight days with no install. So now we're at we're almost at 60 plus days, right, Ryan?
Yeah.
On the 60th day, at the end of the 45 days, that's when we start our installs, because once we get the install teams rolling, we don't want them to ever stop. We don't want there to ever be a week where they don't have any work. And so we have to put in an investment of 60 days up front in order to make sure that this machine never stops in the backside. So just to kind of answer those people's questions on the comments over there.
Yeah, I love that. And that's what Cardinal did too. When we first started in mid 2020, we did the same thing. We sold for like 4 or 5 weeks. So we were booked out like 4 weeks before our first install even happened. Helped us grab that momentum. Tommy, any final thoughts, man? As the home service expert millionaire, give us some juice, man.
Well, first of all, what I would tell you is time is not on your side. I just read this book, How to Live 24 Hours a Day, and no one can buy a minute or an hour. We can't buy time. You can't buy health. So take care of yourself and realize there's 2 things we can't get back. You can't get your health back. I mean, Steve Jobs died of cancer. Didn't really pay attention to the food he was taking in and the time he was spending. So remember that. And if I were you and you really want to figure out what's going on, is be very disciplined on a calendar of writing down what you do all day. And just take a highlighter out and highlight some things of where you find yourself wasting time. First and most important thing is to hire a number 2, an assistant, and make sure you're never checking email. Make sure you're not doing things that really you shouldn't be doing. You should never be booking your travel. You should never even be, in my case, filling up your gas tank. I don't clean my own house. If I enjoyed mowing the lawn, I'll mow the lawn if I enjoyed it. But find out how much your time's worth and start focusing on the things that matter. Number 2 is break things down into simple steps. The reason this chat tools are going to be working so well is they take a complex problem and break them down into easy, simple steps. So manual standard operating procedures, checklists. Those are the things that'll give you freedom. And then having what we have is a data integrity team to make sure everything's accurate in our CRM. All the pictures were taken. There was videos. I've got consent from the customers. They've taken pictures to verify. The systems dictate the output, and it's very vanilla. We're so used to being these firefighters. We're so used to saving the day and being the best and saying, I can figure that out. I'm the best. But when you do the processes, it becomes so simple and you go, shoot, it's too easy. I'm making all this money. There's nothing to do. So then you say it's time to grow again. And then another huge problem starting. You got to go back into the mindset of creating simple steps. Now I'm working on integrations. Then I'm working on this. Now I'm working on this. Now we're working on tax efficiency. There's always a problem when you're growing at a fast pace, but it gets easier as you learn to develop systems. If there's one skill, I called a guy yesterday. I said, I'll give you an unlimited amount of money per year. I'm talking about millions of dollars. If you'll come on and just be a systems operator for me, just create systems for everything. That's how important he is. He's one of the best in the world. I know what he could do. And I said, what is it going to cost? Because I could scale into 25 industries in the matter of 2 years by having someone to just focus only on systems, and not only systems, but pay for performance and making sure to have checks and balances in place for those systems. But Ryan, I got to give it up to you, man. Anytime you ask me to do something, I always try to do it. And this has been an amazing panel. I've learned a lot, and it was definitely worth the time. And I know how much I make per hour. And this was definitely the knowledge I gained from this is amazing. I think readers are leaders, people listening to podcasts, people that are taking the time out of their day to go visit another company. Those are the things that'll set you free. If you find yourself working in the business, you're a fool. Work on the business all day. Michael Gerber, he's been in this office. He talked to me about it, and it's the real deal.
Yeah, man, I love that, man. Dude, thank you so much for your mentorship, Tommy, Jeff, Tanner, Jason, you guys' friendship. If you guys are listening to this live on the replay and you got any amount of value from this, make sure you post in the comments, share some of that love in the comments. Again, thank you guys so much. Just make sure you guys tune in next week. We're going to be interviewing somebody by the name of Victor Rancor. He's doing some amazing things. Tommy, I think you know Victor pretty well. And we have podcasts coming out every Friday, content coming out constantly. We have events coming out this year. We have so many things planned for this year. So tune in and have an amazing week. We'll see you guys soon.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks, guys.